Welcome to another week, another show of Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara. There's our buddy James Morris on the screen. James is going to join us here in just a moment, but let me lay the rest of the show out for you today. And Jess Settles is going to talk some Big Ten basketball. Iowa Hawkeyes rocking and rolling already, or they got rocked and rolled, unfortunately, in the first game against Purdue. But as we record this on Wednesday afternoon, December 6th, big game tomorrow night. By the time this airs, you'll know the result of the game, but they play at Iowa State tomorrow night. Then, of course, we close out the show as we do every week with Scott Pritchard, Scotty P, our sports betting expert from Vegas, Northeast Iowa native. That being said, James, as always, thanks for joining us. Secondly, I know everything's going well with you. Big congratulations to you last month. You were inducted into the Iowa High School Athletic Association Football Hall of Fame. James, I know you've got a lot to say about the Hawkeyes, but I wanted to take a moment to always congratulate you and also to your defensive mentor and coach, Phil Parker, on getting the Assistant Coach of the Year, the Broyles Award. And congratulations on both. Very much to you, James.
Thanks, Dave. Really appreciate it. I text Phil when he got the award, and I said, hey, baby, now you got to find some time to cut loose a little bit and smell the roses. So we'll see if he does.
Yeah, doubtful, but you're right. We'll see. You know better than I do. But, in reference to your award, James, and I've said this on the show before, and I just want to reiterate, sometimes we take it for granted. I know you're too humble to say it, so I'll do it for you. But 4 years in a row, you went to the state finals in football with your Solon Spartans. 3 of those, you won state championships. You were Gatorade State Player of the Year your junior and senior year. Almost 6,500 yards rushing. Some records you still hold for tackles as a linebacker, as a two-way player. You still hold some state of Iowa records in football. And All-American career at the University of Iowa, 3-year career in the NFL, highlighted by a Super Bowl championship and a championship ring with the New England Patriots. What a life it has been in football for you, and now you're doing so well in Des Moines at Principal Financial and your family, you and your wife and daughter. But for you to look back and get that award 10 years after your college career, but then about 14, 15 years after your high school career, what did that mean to you when you got the call and you look back at your life in the last 15 years since you graduated from Solon High School to where you are today?
Well, first, let me say, Dave, can I bring you to meetings with me? And then you just kind of roll off that spiel when I walk in. Maybe we can just a couple of times. It doesn't have to be every day, but
we'll record it and go with it.
You in a pinch. Very, very fortunate throughout my life and certainly in the football career. I've been joking here around the office that now everybody at work knows I'm the guy that peaked in high school. Just going back to Solon, what a great community, what a great culture, great teammates, great coaches, and more so lucky than anything. And I think the same as much is probably true at Iowa, getting to play for a Hall of Fame coach in high school, Hall of Fame coach and Hall of Fame staff in college. And then really my first 2 years in the NFL, Bill Belichick, future Hall of Famer, Tom Coughlin, future Hall of Famer, just really, really blessed. And tried to be humble and really just make sure I take account of those blessings in my day to day. Now, most days are a little bit more muted, a little less action packed than they used to be 10 years ago, but I think that's probably okay. I know my body's certainly thanking me. So it's interesting, but it is nice to take these times and go down memory lane a little bit.
Yeah, you're on somebody else's time. Trust me on that when you've got a little one in the house, that's for sure. And the ladies are telling you where to go right now, that's for certain. And you look very happy with that, so good on you. But, yeah, when you talk about, giving you that spiel, it just comes so natural for me knowing you as I have. And I look back when you got into the Hall of Fame again at the write-up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, sometimes I always just say former Hawkeye linebacker, and yeah, I definitely want to have that on the ready for you, so you let me know whenever you need me to spiel away for you. That's what I do. But I got to ask you this direct question about the Hawkeyes, though, and I was going to kind of lead into it, but let's just get to it right away with Phil Parker. A lot has been made, probably not in your world, but in social media and in the back rooms of, hey, do you think Kirk Ferentz is done this year? And, he's reached his apex and he's still got many years left on his contract, 5 or 6 years. I don't see him going anywhere. Some are talking about that, but let's table that for a second, or just say if that did happen, do you think your mentor, Phil Parker, and I know it's just coming off the Broyles Award, but I just feel like I have to ask you this question. Do you think Phil would ever want to be a head coach, or is he just a D coordinator through and through?
That I don't know. Honestly, Dave, I might be a little surprised if he said, no, I don't ever want to be a head coach. is he a guy that I see coach until he's 80, like some have done in the past? No, I think that would surprise me too. But no, I've never sat him down on the fainting couch and picked his brain about that type of stuff. So it'd be interesting to see. I think he'd be a great candidate, and I think he could do a great job. But who knows what the future holds?
Yeah, indeed. And we don't know, again, with Kirk Ferentz, we're presuming he comes back. And again, big bowl game upcoming. Your assessment on this season, we won't go game by game, but you and I haven't talked in a few weeks. And, of course, the big loss to Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. The Hawks are the last champion in the, as it is today, or was, the Big Ten West champs, but losing the championship game to the East champs, Michigan Wolverines, 26-0. The way the season has played out with Brian Ferentz being let go after this game against Tennessee, and we knew that weeks in advance, all the injuries to your starting quarterback, to your two starting tight ends, to other key players, to your star defensive player, to Cooper DeJean the last handful of games. If I told you 10-3 and go into a New Year's Day Bowl, a Citrus Bowl again, what would your thoughts be?
I wouldn't have believed you. And I would say, if I were to try and characterize this season, it's been a miraculous enigma. And at times, this team has represented everything that is good about the University of Iowa football and just the people of Iowa at times. And then many other times, they've been borderline unwatchable. So it is one of the most unique football seasons I've followed throughout my life. And we could talk for hours and hours and hours about all the drama and intrigue and just the football component of it. It is truly one for the ages.
Yeah, it really has been. And I don't want to be greedy with my time with it, but let's close out with this. And you know what it's like when you're an underclassman to being a senior, and Kirk Ferentz kind of talked about this bowl prep. Did you enjoy this time as an upperclassman and as an underclassman? You finally got some work. Of course, you played as an underclassman right away and started. But how do you see this bowl prep going? You've got about a week off, and they've got finals, or they have meetings and light workouts, and then finals. Then what are your thoughts about bowl prep then?
It can be really, really valuable for a team. I think it was probably more valuable for me in my freshman and sophomore year, in that you're coming off having an entire season under your belt. You're not necessarily in active game plan mode and scheming mode for your opponent just quite yet. And so you can take that time to really focus on your game and improving your game and just getting consistent, predictable reps. So it can be really, really valuable for, I'll call it kind of those guys in the sophomore, third year sophomore type of bucket. I would expect to see them make some strides through bowl prep. Now and then as a junior and senior, I just remember trying to balance finals and some of that coursework that goes with football. I would imagine that's as true now as it ever was.
Yeah, and some guys have said, man, it was almost like spring football again, a lot of work. But as you mentioned, it's important work for team building as well. And I can see you nodding along with me. James, it's always great to talk to you. We'll look forward to catching up with you next football season. Thank you for all your good work this year. Continued success again, folks. There he is, the recently minted Iowa High School Football Hall of Famer, and of course, former Hawkeye linebacker All-American and NFL Super Bowl champion, James Morris. My friend, congratulations again. Great seeing you, and thank you for everything.
Thanks, Dave. Pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Pleasure as well. For James Morris, I'm Dave O'Hara. We'll be back with Jess Settles talking Hawkeye basketball on Hawkeyed. Back with more in a few moments.
To have a strong finish, you need an excellent start. It's true on the track and also in the field. That's why Mershman Seeds works tirelessly to deliver cutting-edge technology year after year. Introducing Starting Line, Mershman Seeds' latest advancement in seed treatment, now providing added protection from white mold and sudden death syndrome all season. Ask for Starting Line seed treatment from Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. There you can see our buddy Jess Settles on the screen. Jess is going to join us in a moment. In future weeks, Peyton Sanford's going to join me, his brother Price, and a few other Iowa Hawkeye men's and women's players. If you remember, we had Caitlin Clark, Monica Sonano, and Lisa Bluter last year. Of course, Peyton joined me last year. Many, many more upcoming this season basketball luminaries. Right here is our favorite basketball luminary, Jess Settles, Fox Sports, Big Ten analyst and studio analyst and game analyst. So, Jess, my friend, as always, thanks for joining us. Chris Collins and Boo Buie and the rest of the Northwestern Wildcats in OT, no less, took down Zach Edey and the Purdue Boilermakers before Purdue took down Iowa the other night as we record this on Wednesday afternoon, December 4th. Jess, this Big Ten season, we're just getting warmed up. Jess, we're just getting into the early Big Ten season. Is this what we're going to expect the rest of the year?
I think that's, for the most part, it's always going to be competitive, right? Some good coaches. Guys have gotten so much older. When you can get 22, 23, 24 years old and play in college, you become a man, and you're just so much tougher and more physical than these freshmen and sophomores. Right now, it's Purdue, obviously sitting at top. They got upset on the road. They're going to be everybody's biggest game of the year. Didn't play their best in that one. But then after that, I mean, who's the second, third, fourth, fifth best team? I mean, Wisconsin maybe fighting for that spot. But there's just a lot of teams grouped together there that you're going to see these types of dogfights every other night in the league. There's nothing new under the sun. But it is interesting how these coaches, and they'll tell me their number one goal is just to get older right now. And the teams with veterans are going to be the teams that separate themselves.
But I got to tell you, a guy that reminds me of you is Owen Freeman. And let's stop right here, Jess. He's just a freshman. Was the freshman of the week already for a guy you know very well. He's been the freshman of the week in the Big Ten 3 times already, and that's the Hawkeye record. Aaron White did it. And that was over the whole season. Jess, we're talking the first 3-4 weeks into the season, he's already got it 3 times. Give me your thoughts early on Owen Freeman, the freshman.
Well, I agree with you. He's just he's loaded with moves. He's got a lot of Kevin McHale moves. I think I said in the broadcast a week or two ago that he showed me some glimpses of Luka Garza, just the footwork. I talked to Coach McCaffrey about him couple times before the games, and coaches has been telling him, look, you've got to shoot more. You've got to be more aggressive. It's always a good sign when you have to tell a kid that, because you know how unselfish they are and how he's just trying to fit into the offense and the flow, and you come in as a freshman and you don't want to overdo it. But he wants more out of him because he believes in him, and he's got such a good skill set. It looks like he's got hook shots over both shoulders, those baby hooks. He's got some face-up game. He's got a tremendous amount of bounce. He's one of the better offensive rebounders probably per minute in the league already when he gets his opportunity. So just a lot of game, runs the floor well, and brings some passion and excitement to Carver Hawkeye Arena. He now has kind of when it gets Kalkbrenner, when it gets Edey, he now has a vision of what it's going to take to be great. And that was the best thing to happen to me my freshman year when I went against Juwan Howard and Glenn Robinson and Grant Hill and Michael Finley. Every other night, you got a glimpse of what maybe you could become if you dedicated your life to it. And I hope that he sees that, even though it's tough on those nights when you're getting smacked around by guys who are big and tough and old like that.
Yeah, and you said baptism by fire, and it was at Purdue, no less. And, yeah, he came out of it pretty well. You chuckle because you know how Mackey Arena is. But when I watched Owen Freeman do what he did in that 5-second time frame, Jess, where he blocked 3 shots as you're smiling and nodding with me, back to back to back, he was like he was on a pogo stick. And I look at this, Jess, and you look at the freshman in Dembele, who's very mature for a young guy. Brock Harding, Owen Freeman, Price Sanford, the shooting star, is going to find his stroke eventually. And then the sophomore Josh Dix. And Fran speaks so glowingly of him. The only question I see to that, or problem, Jess, is are there enough basketballs or enough minutes to get all these guys in with the starting 5 of Patrick McCaffrey, Tony Perkins, and we talk about Ben Cricky's just been unreal. Desante Bona, as we mentioned. And, and you take a look at all these 5 and you say, wow, how do they find time to play?
I've had that conversation with Coach many times, and he's the one guy who sincerely feels bad when he doesn't get to play the 12 guys who deserve to play. He agonizes over it. He's never been afraid to play 9, 10, 11 guys. On one hand, you want to be able to do that. On the other hand, there are some years, some games where you just have more mature, experienced guys, and you've got to put the guys out there who are going to give you the best chance to win the game. He's done a wonderful job over the years of extending his career as a coach by being able to manage his roster. And with all of the NIL and the transfer portal, you can't fit good players and only play them a few minutes of the game or they will leave. Yes. And he's done a nice job of allowing his young players to get minutes. Sometimes maybe they're not quite ready, but he has the big picture in mind. And I think that's going to be the case with this freshman class. I think they're going to get fair minutes, and there'll probably be some nights where they get waxed because they're just not quite mature enough. And like we said, freshmen, they're not playing against just juniors and seniors. They're playing against 5th, 6th, and 7th year guys. The entire system is a mess. It's not the way it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be young guys against young guys, and then some juniors and seniors. But it's 25-year-olds now against some 19-year-olds. It's not the way it was supposed to be. But that's where we're at with the extra COVID year and transfer, etc. So he's done a good job with that. I think he's going to ride these freshmen, and they're just going to have to step up. Obviously, we miss Chris Murray because he was a bucket getter. And, can Perkins, can Sanford, do they quite have the game to just go create their shot in the midst of chaos? Probably not. It's going to have to be by committee, but it'll probably be 11, 12 guys. And some nights it'll be there, some nights it won't.
Well, let me close out with a guy you just mentioned, and I've kept his name off until right now. Let's talk a little bit about Peyton Sanford. He's a junior now, and he was the 6th man of the year last year. Now he's starting every game, and he is integral. He is, as you mentioned, maybe the Keegan Murray or the Chris Murray of past, and a different player completely. But I notice now he's taking the ball to the rack a little more. He's adding more rebounding to his game, and I'm going to have Peyton on in the next week or two here, and we're going to talk about that. As we close out this segment, I don't want to get greedy with my time with you, but there's so much to discuss. Let's talk a little bit about Peyton Sanford as we close out here. Please, Jess.
He's one of my favorite kids to talk to before a game because he's just so hyped up and passionate about what he does. He gives 110%. I believe he's still leading the team in rebounding, which just says a tremendous amount about his toughness. Now, he's expanded his game. He plays hard defensively, and he needs some more help on the glass, but I've really enjoyed watching him develop and mature.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, we spent many minutes on this show with Gary Dolphin last week specifically about Cricky, what a great season he's had so far. And he is, as advertised, the transfer from Valpo, Player of the Year in the Missouri Valley. We'll table that for the next time you and I talk, and we'll have more Big Ten action to talk about. Jess, I'm looking forward to talking to you again here in just a couple of weeks. Thank you for joining us, and have a great holiday season, and look forward to catching up with you very soon and have some great calls. I know you're going to be on the Big Ten Network regularly, as well as Fox Sports, calling basketball games as an analyst and in studio. Former Hawkeye basketball, playing great. Now just crushing it, of course, as a farmer. I always got to get that Iowa farmer in, Jess. As a farmer and as a broadcaster. My friend, as always, thank you. Great to see you, and we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it, Dave. It's always good to be on. This is going to be an exciting game against Iowa State. And I think Iowa's won 4 out of the last 5. And I don't even think they've been these scores lately haven't been close. I think it's like an average of 20 points. So they're great defense against our pretty darn good offense. Something's got to give, but it's a big one for Iowa. Thanks for having me on, man. It's good to see you.
Oh, it is a big one, and you're very welcome, Jess. Thank you. Take care. For Jess Settles, I'm Dave O'Hara. We'll be back with more to close on Hawkeyed with Scott Pritchard, our sports betting expert from Vegas, our Northeast Iowa native. Back with more in just a few moments.
Who do you trust to produce the best yield? A seed company that's chasing technology, or a seed company that's writing a book on it? Mershman Seeds is a leader in technology. We're independent and family-owned. Our sister company, MS Technologies, provides access to world-class traits and genetics. And our starting line seed treatment is second to none. Who can you trust with your yields? Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. There's our buddy Scott Pritchard. Scotty P, Northeast Iowa native, been out in Vegas crushing it, and I do mean crushing it. Look at the numbers again, and I'm going to let him quote it. Free picks, Pritchard'sPicks.com. Go there for free picks, sign up for them, or for paid picks. Free picks, he's at about 60%. Paid picks about 66%. We took last week off with Scott because we had Gary Dolphin, Hawkeye legendary voice of the Iowa Hawkeyes, had him on for the whole show last week. But Scott, first and foremost, as always, thanks for joining us. And secondly, I know you're doing well. I always use the word crushing it because you are with that 60% and 66% plus in your picks. Industry standard to break even 52.4 after paying the juice to dig the tax. So you're way above that, making money, or as you say, seeing the cashier. So my friend, first of all, let's update the folks on how you're doing in the world's largest and best sportsbook circa contest, and also how you're doing in the Golden Nugget and some of the other contests you're in. So again, thanks for joining us, and update us on how you're doing, my friend.
Once again, Dave, excited to be here. A big fan of you, the show. You, Michael, Merrick do a great job with this. I have so many family and friends still in the state of Iowa, and they speak highly of you. You have the respect and the influence of many, many people. So keep doing what you're doing. It's working. Regarding the World Championship of Sports Betting, the Circa Invitational, it's by invite only. They decided to invite 16 of the world's best. With 5 weeks to go, I'm tied for first place, but the number one tiebreaker is your best bet record versus the number. And fortunately, I've been on fire with my best bets. I'm 10-3 versus the number. So they're going to have to outpick me. There's no chance anyone will ever outwork me. You know that, being a fellow Northeastern Iowan. You know, I was raised on a farm, so work ethic is second nature to me. It's like breathing. So I do this 24/7. But yeah, looking good, feeling good. Well, don't know if I'm looking good, but I'm definitely feeling good.
Oh, you're always looking good, my friend. On point. You got everything all wardrobed out on point. And again, thank you for the kind words, and mad respect right back to you, because that's, folks, what it takes to get ahead of Scott Pritchard, or to be at or near his level, is to be 7-0. You're right. That's unheard of. It's unreal. And so let's go here, Scott. I get a wealth of emails each week, and I want to hone in on 4 that I got specifically. And again, Dave at DaveO'HaraSports.com. Reach out to the show here again. You see all the social media behind me, DaveO'HaraSports.com, or at Dave O'Hara Sports via social media. The question that was recurring was, Scott, in weeks past, you and I talked, or you talked to me about half betting on the first half, betting on the second half, and of course, betting on a game total, either the point spread against the spread, as you say, ATS, or betting on an over-under the points total. My viewers are asking me, would you have Scott explain, what he prefers on a half? And I'm going to give you an example. For those of you that don't know, again, record territory here for this Iowa-Michigan game. Iowa, depending on the sportsbook, the University of Iowa, the over-under for Iowa alone, only the University of Iowa Hawkeyes in the first half, was 0.5. So they were saying, hey, Iowa's not going to score. So a safety, you're good. Can't get an extra point without scoring a touchdown. So then the second half total, again, for Iowa only, was 0.5. And then the game total, depending again on the sportsbook, was 1.5, so, or Iowa alone. So basically, the sports betting world was saying, hey, we need Iowa to get a safety or more for you to win your end game total for Iowa only. So these questions coming in, Scott, are, do you prefer, do you like, or does it depend on the game? What are your thoughts on half betting and game totals, please?
Well, as far as team totals, like in the Iowa situation, I think you said the first half total for Iowa over under half point. The sports books were specifically saying there's a 50-50 chance that Iowa will not score in the first half. And they were, I think it was 1.5 for the game, possibly, I think you said, my friend. And again, the sports books are not saying that Iowa is not going to score. They're saying there's a 50-50 chance that they will not score. But it's really hard to score points when your offense is so inept. It's impossible to win, obviously, if you cannot score. But personally, to your point, my friend, I love betting first half. I love betting second half because I'm a value guy. Betting the first half, I will not bet it until I know who's getting the opening kickoff, because I get an extra possession. That's a real unfair advantage that I've been taking advantage of for quite some time. The second half, we all know, including the odds makers, which team gets an extra possession. Whoever didn't get the ball to start the game gets the ball in the third quarter, so they get an extra possession. But the sports books, the odds makers, will shade it that way. So you have to pay a premium if you want that team coming out of halftime.
So, Scott, as always, time goes so quickly. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to answer the questions, but also letting us know again, he is at Scott Pritchard, Pritchard'sPicks.com. Keep going there, or via social media at Pritchard Wins, But Pritchard'sPicks.com is where you need to go. Sign up for free picks, paid picks, and again, Scotty P, keep crushing it in your business world, but also in these contests. My friend, I love talking to you. We could go on all day, and we have in the past, but we'll cut it short for today. My friend, always great to see you. You keep crushing it. I hear nothing but great things. I see nothing but great things from you. So I'm going to continue mine if you continue yours. Let's make that deal. Does that sound good?
Keep up the good work. Absolutely. Thanks again, Dave.
I will if you will. And again, you're very welcome, and thank you, Scotty P. Scott Pritchard, Pritchard'sPicks.com. For Scott Pritchard, Jess Settles, James Morris, and you, the viewers, my production partner, Michael Merrick, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. That's all from me. Thanks to all of you. And as always, thanks for staying tuned at the end of the program for these rolling credits to give our advertisers and sponsors the attention and credit they so richly deserve. And as always, to our aforementioned guests and to you, the viewers. That's all from us at Hawkeye. Thanks to all of you.